People are really starting to question what they've been attaching to, to find their sense of stability and security. We've been put a lot of faith in this government, but now we're finding out how much it is rigged against us because of all these contracts that we've been coerced in unwillingly and unknowingly. And
There's so much that's been made up and so much illusion and trickery. It really is 1871, and then you have 1913 with the Fed, and they literally stole our country from us at that point. Because of Reconstruction, we couldn't afford to rebuild. We sought out funding and loans. The creation of the Fed ensued, the Corporation of America. So in effect, we never really won that Revolutionary War because they controlled us through banking and energy. So it's all been an illusion ever since. And it's mind-blowing when we look at our history that's taught in school versus what actually happened. It's disconcerting is what it is, and it's evil.
If you look at everything that's in the landscape of the world today, everything is parasitic attachment. They want you attached to a narrative, a label, a feeling, an emotion, fear. Everything is to instill that trigger mechanism in you. So they don't want you to know that you have the ability and the authority to define yourself, declare yourself, and stand up in your status. Yeah. Well, and see the thing with, since then we have learned so much about what's been going on in our country and how all this language in these documents are pretty deceptive. And the reason why they can get away with that right there is basically Washington D.C. is on foreign territory. Your straw man basically is what we come in to talk about, and how they create your all caps name is a straw man, which is basically your great trust. Everything is about the trust. Everything with your all caps name on it is it pertains to your trust, and that's your corporate. But they didn't teach us how to contract. They didn't teach us anything about these trusts. They didn't teach us anything about how law really works versus legalese and how we are consenting, to contract. Unbeknownst to us, we've been coerced and lied to a lot, and it's all through the deceptive language. How they've changed the landscape of our Constitution, and they had all these little treaties that come into play right up leading to the Act of 1871, and that's when, they switched the language over into the banker's constitution, where everything's therefore become commerce. And it all started with the birth certificate. Your mother did not know she was signing you over as an informant, and she informed the state because your mother and father entered into a contract with the state in the marriage license. And that's when the Social Security number comes about and you're registered and you get a certificate, a birth certificate, which is a certificate of bond. And then they borrow like $1 million from the World Economic Forum or the IMF. They match that with another $1 million and they put it in that trust. These trusts gain about 40% every year. The thing of it is, folks, there is no debt. There is no debt. You're just compelled to use a debt instrument. That's the Federal Reserve note.
When I started out on this a year ago, almost, the first place that I was led to was understanding about straw man, what common law is and what legalese was. And so, but the greatest thing that you need to understand whenever you're going out here and you are dealing with these people is they never gave you all the information you needed to have an informed consent.
There are no government agencies, okay? There's only corporate agencies or entities, okay? Corporate entities, no government agencies. Everything is corporate since the Act of 1871. So crime, you see, when you start to learn U.S. code and UCC code and law, and you start to see all the language and see how these folks are actually operating, they are full-blown criminal cartel.
Speaking of which, Jim, can you tell us what a Proud Boy is? Because somebody's asking.
Absolutely. We are somebody who happens to be proud of Western culture. At the heart of everything, it started out as a joke, and we're we're a drinking club. So we're a bunch of guys who we venerate our housewife. We believe in the First and Second Amendment. We believe in limited government.
Yeah.
In effect, really kind of libertarian mentality. But we all are freedom-loving American men, and we try to instill traditional American values in our kids. Respect for mother equals respect for wife later. We try to develop the next generation of men who are going to fill our shoes too, and create somebody who I want my daughter to meet. I want to be the guy that shows her the type of man that she wants to meet in the future. And if I'm not.
So, Jimmy, I'd really love it if you just kind of told everyone a bit of your story and where you're at, and take a few minutes. Don't rush it. It's all good.
I have a lot of close friends, and we all consider ourselves patriots. We were considering whether or not to go to January 6th, and my one brother, Eddie, and I prayed intensely about it. And we decided that we were going to go. We got our answer. We were led to go to the Capitol to be present for January 6th and make our voices heard, as we are constitutionally allowed to do. And we went up there, and it was a really great atmosphere on the 5th of January. Hearing people like, General Flynn speaking, and Bryson Gray hitting some of those beats that he was renowned for in 2020. And then the next day started off. We were all very excited. And first and foremost, our purpose, I'm a Proud Boy. Our purpose was to keep people safe up there. All people safe, so that their voices, whether we agreed with their voice or not, could be heard. It's our American right. It's our God-given right, whether you're American or not. So we started off the day, we met at the monument. We walked down the National Mall. We took a route, and we ended up in the Peace Circle. And I heard somebody say Trump's going to speak at the Capitol, and he was speaking. He said, we're going to march down to the Capitol. We're going to patriotically and peacefully be heard. Something the mainstream media doesn't like to replay, that he said patriotically and peacefully. And we thought he was coming. Literally, I heard Trump's going to speak at the Capitol. The crowd surged forward. We couldn't see what was going on at the front, near those barriers that were at that point up. And all hell kind of broke loose, and everybody ran to the Capitol. And on the way, there was resistance from Capitol Police, which was unexpected, because why would they stop us hearing our president speak? Well, we get in front of the Capitol on the west side, and all of a sudden you start seeing weapons being brought out by Capitol Police, and cameras are being used. They're taking film, and it's not feeling like Trump's going to speak at the Capitol. And then rubber bullets start flying by our heads. They shot from an elevated position, which, if anybody knows about rubber bullets, they then become lethal. There were also concussion grenades and flashbangs being thrown at distances closer than 40 meters, which again can be lethal. It was the first time that lethal force has ever been used on American citizens at that Capitol. And that it blew my mind. So we're sitting there and we're seeing this. There's women and children in that crowd. Keep that in mind. Up to this point, people were praying, singing the national anthem, saying the Pledge of Allegiance, just really patriotic and just being heard. And the amazing thing was the vibe was so intense and beautiful. And then when the police came out and started aggravating and agitating, you would see people getting hit from behind when they're not engaging them. They're not presenting any threat. And I saw one woman in particular get hit from behind with a police shield. and knocked down steps. And that was right about the time when all hell really broke loose, because there's that unwritten rule in America. You don't hit our ladies. Not allowed, not allowed at all. And it was unprovoked on her part. So all hell starts breaking loose. I end up by the end of the day, about 3 o'clock, in front of the West Plaza tunnel, where people were pushing back and forth. And that's where Roseanne Boylan, God rest her soul, was beat to death by Lila Morris, Metro police officer, with a stick. And there's video. It's not alleged; it's a fact. She was on the ground getting beaten with a stick. There's two other gentlemen, Greason and Phillips, that were flashbanged and had heart attacks and dropped dead. And then, of course, Ashley Babbitt, who was shot. So it started off the energy, I can't even describe it. It was that God energy, that I'm in the right place right now, kind of an energy that you can feel, that common collective. And what it evolved into was something atrocious. People were let in on one side, the east side, and then there was the battle, quote unquote, going on the west side. And of course, that's what the media focused in on. They weren't focusing in on police officers waving people in on the east side and to fill the Capitol. So when we look at it, there's a narrative, and now we're finding out so much more. The levels of federal agents that were into the crowd, and it really was an ensnarement or an entrapment operation to make the movement look bad. Meanwhile, we had all across America that year, cities on fire, people being bricked to the head to death, being beaten on the streets of Portland to death. It was atrocious, and they're free. And on June 3rd of 2022, I woke up to James, it's the FBI, come to the door with hands up. Stephanie, come to the door with hands up. So I was extracted out of my house. I was in my my private garments, let's just say that. So I come out and I have red dots all over me. There's a Bearcat and an assault vehicle in the front yard. There's dozens of people out in the front yard, all tacked out with assault weapons. It was horrendous. And the point at which I lost it was when they extracted my lady and my 1.5-year-old daughter at gunpoint. This beautiful little girl that knows nothing but cuddles and unicorns and playing, and just, she's a reflection of God's love for us. And they drew her out at gunpoint. And that's when I decided that I'm going to fight this with all my heart and my soul. I'm going to try to tap into that strength that God gives us, and to make it known. So that's really been my mission since June 3rd of 2022. And there's so many people that have been affected this way. There's over 1,100 J6 defendants, and there's more being arrested by the day. There's people who are in